Tonight's Speedweek is dedicated to USAC National Sprint Car Champion and our friend Robbie Stanley, who was killed in an accident at Winchester Speedway Thursday evening.
Back home again in Indiana.
The days leading up to the 78th Indianapolis 500 have provided many memories. We've seen a powerful team take a powerful new engine to the front of the field. We witnessed not only the arrival, but the accomplishments of IndyCar's new generation. We welcome back two former series champions and said farewell to two of the sport's greatest heroes. The greatest spectacle in racing is only hours away, and the month's fondest memories are still to come.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Speedweek. I'm Bob Jenkins. We're here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, site of the 78th running of the Indy 500 tomorrow. As you can see behind me, final preparations are going on. Well, as usual, there have been many stories to capture the headlines here in the past 3 weeks, but perhaps the biggest individual story has been Mario Andretti's final run tomorrow here at the Brickyard. A little bit later in our show, we'll have an extended conversation with him. The field is set for tomorrow's race, but before we take a look at the official starting lineup, let's recap what transpired this past week, beginning with Bubble Day.
With the temperature near 90 degrees, the last day of time trials was uneventful until the track cooled. Then, with 30 minutes remaining, the unqualified cars got in line for one final shot to make the show. Marco Greco was first out, and his four-lap average of 221.216 was good enough to make the field, giving car owner Dick Simon 6 cars in the race. Greco's run bumped Scott Goodyear from the field and put rookie Brian Herta on the bubble. Jeff Brabham made an attempt after Greco, but was waved off after 2 laps. Mark Smith's attempt was short-lived after he hit the wall between turns 1 and 2. He was unhurt, but his hope of becoming the first Smith in the Indy 500 will have to wait until another year. Gary Bettenhausen had the support of the crowd as he tried to make his 22nd 500. His 93 Penske Elmore could only reach 218, and he was also waved off after 2 laps. Gary B. will miss his first Indy 500 since 1988. Willie T. Ribbs rolled out onto the track just moments before the gun sounded, but he couldn't go any faster than 216 in the 94 Lola Ford Cosworth owned by Derek Walker. So-called Carburation Day was Thursday as drivers and crews took advantage of their final chance to work on race day setups. All 33 drivers and the first alternate, Mark Smith, participated, including John Andretti, who had qualified 9th for the Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR Winston Cup race only a few hours earlier in Charlotte, North Carolina. We mentioned Scott Goodyear was bumped from the lineup last Sunday. Well, he'll be in tomorrow's race replacing Davy Jones, who qualified the Bernstein team's backup car. Just like 1992, Scott will start 33rd. The session was incident-free. Mario Andretti turned in the fastest speed at 223.708.
Well, now let's take a look at the official starting lineup for tomorrow's Indy 500, a lineup that includes 5 former winners and 9 rookies.
2 of the former winners, both Penske drivers Al Unser Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi, are in the front row. Between them is Raul Boesel, who led the first lap in last year's race.
I hope put the Ford in front, so that's if I can do that, it would be good. Be in the first lap and the last lap in front. That would be even nicer.
The highest qualifying rookie since 1984, Jacques Villeneuve, starts 4th. 1992's Rookie of the Year, Lynn St. James, is outside the second row. In the middle is Michael Andretti, known for his aggressive starts.
We need to keep pressure on Penske's if we can, because we can't let them let up at all, and you know, that's what we'll be trying to do.
Defending national champion Nigel Mansell and 2 former winners, Arie Luyendyk and Mario Andretti, comprise row 3. John Andretti starts inside row 4 along with Eddie Cheever and Dominic Dobson. Short track veteran Stan Fox joins 2 rookies, Hideshi Matsuda and Dennis Vitolo, in the 5th row. Starting 16th, Jimmy Vasser, then rookie Scott Sharp and Hiro Matsushita. Sharp may be fighting race day butterflies before his first Indy 500.
I think the whole atmosphere is going to change the minute I walk out there and see all those people instead of empty grandstands that I've been looking at all month. But I'm getting pretty excited.
Row 7, Robbie Gordon, Roberto Guerrero, and another rookie, Brian Till. Guerrero is driving the same car that sat on the pole in 1992.
If we can run all day consistently, that's going to be the key. And I don't think if we can do that, I don't think we'll embarrass ourselves.
The slowest car in the field starts inside row 8 with Brian Herta. Scott Brayton and Teo Fabi are also in that row. Brayton, by the way, is second only to Mario in number of Indy 500 starts with 12. The 9th row, third Penske driver Paul Tracy, rookie Adrian Fernandez, and Stefan Johansson. Tracy is hoping his starting position won't prevent him from getting up to the front of the field.
There's guys behind me and there's guys in front of me, so it's going to be a long, tough race, and hopefully if we can, stay out of trouble, have a good finish.
1986 winner Bobby Rahal, rookie Mauricio Gugelmin, and four-time starter John Paul Jr. are in the 10th row. The final row consists of Mike Groff, rookie Marco Greco, and Scott Goodyear. Scott's hoping he can repeat the miracle of '92 when he started 33rd and finished second.
Well, we certainly hope that's going to happen. Track's a little narrower this year than it was in '92. We did spend a lot of time down the apron in '92, but we'll just have to make sure we can find a way by. There's a lot of competitive guys starting near the back of the pack.
Unfortunately, there is sad news to report from the drag racing community. Top Fuel driver Jimmy Nix was killed in an accident last Saturday night during an exhibition race at the Texas Motorplex in Ennis. Nix's dragster apparently went out of control after a rear wing strut broke. He is survived by his wife Darla, a son, and 2 grandchildren. Jimmy Nix was 55. As we mentioned earlier, 3-time and defending USAC National Sprint Car champion Robbie Stanley was killed during the feature race at Winchester Speedway Thursday evening. One of the sport's most promising stars, Stanley was the series points leader heading into Thursday night's event. Ironically, 6 of his 9 career wins came at the track that took his life. Saturday Night Thunder, which immediately follows Speedweek and re-airs at 4 a.m. Eastern Time on June the 6th, will have more details on Robbie Stanley's untimely death. Robbie Stanley was 26 years old.
At AutoZone, we know our customers work just as hard as we do. So we're open when they need us, at night and on Sundays. And since 2 million folks each week count on AutoZone for what they need when they need it, we're not about to let them down. That's why we carry so many parts and why we price them so low every day. You see, selling top quality parts at low prices every day is how we make a living. But helping customers, well, that's how we make friends.
When traffic congestion changes, the threats to your car's engine change. That's why Quaker State has engineered intelligent oil. Oil that senses the changing threats in your engine and adapts its own molecular structure for continuous protection. So whenever the driving conditions change, so does Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
Now you can change to the intelligent oil and save $3.60 on a case of Quaker State. See store display for details.
Don't miss Suzuki's truly moving, dealing days.
From the jungles of Brazil comes the hardest natural wax known to man. Carnauba wax. Kit uses the finest Carnauba wax to make any car finish look like new. Kit goes on fast, wipes off easy, gives all car finishes a deep, rich shine, and long-lasting Carnauba wax protection, because it's a jungle out there. Discover the finest Carnauba car wax, Kit.
Speedweek is brought to you by Kawasaki. Kawasaki, let the good times roll. And by Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
Welcome back to Speedweek. I'm Bob Jenkins, and with me, the man who will begin his 29th and final Indy 500 tomorrow, Mario Andretti. Thanks for joining us. We're going to stroll down pit lane while all the activity is going on around us, and maybe stroll down memory lane here for a few minutes. I'd like to go back
before we get to the Speedway itself, I'd like to go way back to when you first came over here from Italy and why you decided to settle in Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
Well, that was not my decision. It was, I was 15 years old, and when the family moved over, we obviously came to Nazareth, where my Uncle Tony lived, and he was the sponsor of our trip, if you will. And they, you know, that became our home because, you know, we just decided to settle there. Obviously, both my brother, Aldo, and my sister and myself, we all married, you know, we married our local sweethearts, and with the family ties, I think we just, from my side, I chose to stay there. Aldo had a different twist. Aldo, because of his early racing, couldn't afford to really commute from the Midwest, and the sort of middle 60s, when he started coming to the Midwest and racing, he sort of started settling here in Indianapolis, and he liked it, and he's been here ever since.
When you first came to Indianapolis and when you first walked into this palace of speed, what did you think? I mean, were you as overwhelmed as a lot of the young race drivers are?
Well, how can something like this not overwhelm you? You know, it's the first race that I ever saw here personally was in 1958, and set right up there at the fourth turn, sort of lower seats. We could see a lot of helmets go by, and but the sight of the facility and just the fact that you know, that we were here, that I was here witnessing this event, it was just totally overwhelming. And I, for some reason, obviously, I was dreaming about pursuing this sort of thing at that time, and I hadn't started. It was only the following year when we started racing locally. But you look at the long range, you look at the most ambitious goal, you know, it says, well, someday, you know, I'm going to be here type of thing. You know, you say that to yourself, obviously. Make sure nobody hears it. But as I say, it just, this place just gives you something. I mean, it seems like it's all here.
Well, you went on to win the national championship in '65, your rookie year, and of course, experienced great success here at the 500. We're going to talk more with Mario and talk to him about his win in 1969 and his final race tomorrow when we come back on Speedweek.
Hi, I'm Johnny Bench. You know, to really understand baseball, you got to speak the language. Did you get all that? I didn't think so. That's why there's Baseball Weekly from the editors of USA Today. Baseball Weekly gives you the lowdown on the majors, minors, and colleges. Each issue is packed with team reports, box scores, and stats for every game, plus tips for fantasy leaguers, collectors, college top 25 polls, and the clubhouse for younger fans, too. Call this number to order one full year of Baseball Weekly. That's 44 issues for just $35. You'll also receive your choice of any Major League Baseball team hat or a Baseball Weekly hat, a $10 value, and it's yours free with your paid order. Sound good? Then call today. Get one full year of Baseball Weekly plus your free gift. But hurry, this offer is limited. So call now before you're called out. Baseball Weekly. It speaks baseball's language.
The world's finest drivers in the world's fastest cars compete this morning at 7:50 Eastern in the Grand Prix of Spain. Formula One, the art of motor racing, only on ESPN.
Welcome back to Speed Week, and we're going to continue our conversation now with Mario Andretti. We talked about the time prior to your first race here at Indianapolis in '65. What do you remember about the '65 race?
Well, I tell you what, that was a real pressure cooker for me, because I think the the first race for any rookie, it's got to be just, I mean, if they experience anything like I have, I guarantee you feel for those guys. And just the reason for that is specifically when I came here, I was waiting for a new car, a car that I never sat in. And I had never run a rear engine single-seater car because right up to now, the last race that I had driven was in Trenton, which was in a roadster. So I was waiting for this new car to arrive, and it arrives late. Those days, we had 2 weeks of practice before the first weekend of qualifying. I missed that whole first week, and the car arrived on the Tuesday of the second week, and I had to do the driver's test yet. So, I mean, talk about a nervous Nelly walking around, and after listening to everybody going around and setting speed records and all that sort of thing, and I hadn't even tasted this place. They didn't have a rookie orientation or anything like that. So it was, I was really up against it, and fortunately, you know, when the car arrived, it was really quite ready. Credit to Clint Bronner and, of course, Jim McGee. And again, fortunately, it was a good choice of chassis that they built, because the car immediately, you know, really felt good, and I breezed through that driver's test and didn't waste too much time to get up to speed because I only had a day and a half. And so again, things just went smoother than I ever expected, and all of a sudden I started really liking it.
I know when I've talked to you in the past, we've talked about the good old days, and you've told me that those days back in the 60s and the 70s aren't the good old days, that these are the good old days. You still believe that?
I believe that, yes. Well, I don't say those were not the good old days. I think those were the good old days then, and there was some good there, some things that were perhaps better then, and some things that are better now. You know, it's, utopia was never then, utopia is not really now. What I like to say is that I'm satisfied with a lot of what's happening today.
All right, I've got to ask you the question. The day is coming. It's closing in on us. We're within hours of the start of the race. Are you approaching the race with the same mental attitude that you do each and every race and that you have each and every 500 before this?
I'm trying. I'm really trying very hard. It's not easy because obviously back of my mind I always keep saying, you know, just enjoy this moment. It's not going to repeat itself and all that sort of thing. So from that standpoint, it's got that degree of emotion, no question. I'm prepared for it, though. You know, I'm prepared for it, and I'm just thankful that I'm this far. Hopeful that, you know, things will go our way. We're certainly going to try. We certainly feel that we have the ingredients, and if we come away with a good, honest effort, I think I'm going to have to be satisfied with that. And as I say, always the hope of a positive result.
Mario, thank you very much. I know that there are millions of race fans out there that hope that you can win the second race here at Indianapolis tomorrow, and if not, the career has been absolutely wonderful, and thanks for the memories.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for that.
Mario Andretti, back with more Speedweek after this.
There's one thing that a racing engine and a straight engine have in common. You want them both to last.
Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
To build a race engine that holds up, you have to use the best of everything, and Haviland does that job.
No other leading motor oil offers more complete protection to help your car run better, last longer. Good enough for Robert Yates.
Well, how hard do you want me to push it today? Whatever it takes to win.
Haviland Formula 3. Why add just any motor oil? Add more life to your car.
When it comes to roping a steer, folks in Grand Junction, Colorado will tell you that Ron Markin can ride with the best of them. And when it comes to overhauling an engine or rebuilding a carburetor, well, he can do it all. You see, when Ron's not riding a horse for fun, he's turning a wrench for a living. So he buys a lot of parts, mostly from AutoZone. Sure, there are other parts stores in town, but Ron knows that when you want the right part for the right price, there's just no place better than AutoZone.
I've seen paintings, I've seen sculptures, I've read books, I've seen plays. I've read books about plays and seen plays about books. I've looked at mountains, sunsets, oceans, I've looked at the big blue sky on a very clear day, and none of it is as beautiful as this.
Speedweek's travel arranged through Continental, now offering business first when flying coast to coast. The comfort and service of international first class for less. Business first from Continental.
Since Tony Hulman bought the Speedway in 1946, only 4 men have had the honor of flagging the race. It is more than just a glamorous job. The lives of 33 men and women depend on your decisions. For the last 15 years, a gentleman from Wisconsin has had, as he would put it, the privilege of climbing into the starter stand. Meet Dwayne Sweeney.
He has what some call the absolute best job at Indianapolis. He has earned it. After all, he's been waving the flags his wife hand makes since 1951, and it was on the short tracks of Wisconsin he began to hone his skills.
Every night was a new experience, the same as it is here, and just as great as it was here, because everything that you learned in them days were very important, as I found out on the way up. At one time I worked 6 nights a week at the short tracks, plus my 40-hour-a-week job. I've heard that I was a little bit wrong in the head, but I have a disease. I realize that, and thank God they have done no research to cure it.
Involved with USAC since 1962, Sweeney eventually headed up the stock car and champ divisions in the late 70s. During that time, Dwayne ironically dropped the first green flag on a young man's first stock car race. It was Alan Kowicki. Then in 1979, he got the call from USAC asking him to follow retiring Pat Vanan as the chief starter at Indy. His lifelong dream was now reality.
I was 9 feet in the air and 10 feet in the air, and when I got down here, I could hardly walk. You know, I went over the top of these trees. I had no problem getting around out here the first year, and now I'm back down to, when I go home, I can walk on the ground. When I come back next year, I'm at that same level again.
Sweeney doesn't confine his activities to the track. Heavily involved in charity work both at home and at Indy, he takes his pace car and his flags on the road.
I always pray that the leader will be all by himself. God knows that I won't make a mistake, you know. He'll be coming down, and if he's open enough, I just drop him, and then we start moving like such. Like that? Is that what you wanted to see?
Look back at the last 15 years and you'll see why this man is having the time of his life. 2 of the closest finishes ever. Wins number 4 for Unser and Mears. The honor of officially retiring Foyt and Rutherford. But for the 15th time tomorrow morning, Dwayne will get what only a true race fan can understand. Pre-race butterflies.
The whole morning, from the time I get up at 4 o'clock, walk over here, it's rough. I just can't eat. My stomach is churning and rolling and tumbling. It's probably about 4 times worse than the driver's.
He will line up his flags in precise order and the jitters will give way to the job at hand. And in just 3 hours, he will flag another 500 miles into the history books.
I think in order to really feel it, you've got to come here. But if you get to enjoying coming here and visiting with the people and seeing your neighbors from 4 states over every year, this place is going to light your light, I'll tell you. It'll get your wheels to spinning.
By the way, Sweeney's son Mark is currently flagging races for USAC. Maybe we'll see a second-generation flagman in the future.
Here's a look at our CarQuest racing calendar with events coming up. For all your auto parts needs, you'll find it at CarQuest.
I have a job, a family, a million things to do. Who has time to think about their car? That's why I take my car to Jiffy Lube for top quality products like Pennzoil. They're professional. They do a great job, and I like Pennzoil. Why would I go anywhere else?
Jiffy Lube, America's favorite oil change for busy people.
Remember to bring your car to Jiffy Lube every 3,000 miles. From the jungles of Brazil comes the hardest natural wax known to man. Carnauba Wax. Kit uses the finest Carnauba wax to make any car finish look like new. Kit goes on fast, wipes off easy, gives all car finishes a deep, rich shine, and long-lasting Carnauba wax protection, because it's a jungle out there. Discover the finest Carnauba car wax, Kit.
The Tigers take on the Twins tonight at 8 Eastern, only on ESPN.
You're watching ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
1952 marked the debut of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway radio network. For 43 years now, the network has been providing live coverage of the Indy 500 to radio stations throughout the world. Tomorrow will mark the 5th time that I have anchored the broadcast from the tower. Over the years, I've been fortunate enough to listen to and participate in some of the Indy 500's finest broadcast moments.
AJ underway now, moving out of the pits, but Gordon Johncock goes fast and into the lead. He's being chased now into the first turn by AJ Foyt. So the chase is on, but Gordon Johncock has pulled over to the left side of the straightaway. He appears to be slowing. He has put his car in off of the apron at the south end of the main straightaway. A.J. Foyt is now our leader. Daddy Sullivan gets him. Daddy Sullivan gets him. Daddy Squirrely. Daddy spinning. Daddy Sullivan spins. But he goes around right, gathers it ahead. Absolutely incredible. Danny Sullivan spun in front of Mario Andretti. Gathered the car back up and only fell back to second place. They get slower traffic in front of them now. Al trying to get to the outside to pass Evo right behind him. Evo moves to the outside, down in front of Howdy Does. Moves to very close to that white line. They head for 3. Evo may have him, Larry. They're side by side. Evo on the inside. Al caught in traffic. No time. They touch wheels. Al Jr. into the wall hard. Emerson Fittipaldi keeps on going. They touch wheels. Al Jr. into the wall, and Emerson Fittipaldi will lead them back to the yellow flag. The green flag waves. Here's the final 13 laps of the race. A drag race to turn number 1. Rick Mears and Michael Andretti. Well, Rick Mears had a great move down low. He leads the way. About now, Andretti's got him going into short shoot. He's at number 2, and Michael Andretti's got the lead. Michael Andretti through 4 running smooth. Rick Mears driving really mid. Coming down low to head to the main straightaway, but it is still Michael Andretti and Rick Mears to head toward turn 1 and Jerry Baker. Former co-rookie of the year, Michael Andretti. Now Mears goes to the outside, and Rick may have him. They move into the short shoot. Rick Mears takes the lead. Dwayne Sweeney waves the white flag. 1 to go. A 3-car length separation between Unser and Goodyear. And that's how they come through number 1. The gap gets closer and closer and closer and for the Gary Lee. Indeed, about 3 or 4 car lengths as they work off the second corner of the last time. Headed down the backstretch, headed right at you, Larry Henry. Scott Goodyear tucked right in behind Al Unser Jr. He's waiting about a car length and a half behind Al Jr. Al Jr. now lengthens it out. He's trying to hold him off. Goodyear low, Unser high. They go to 4, Bob Learning. Al Unser Jr. has the lead. 1 more turn to go. Here they come. Coming to the finish line. Bob Jenkins, who's going to win it? The checkered flag is out. Goodyear makes a move. Little Al wins by just a few tenths of a second. Perhaps the closest finish in the history of the Indianapolis 500. Al Unser Jr. has become the first second-generation driver to win an Indianapolis 500. Al Unser Jr. has done it.
And that will do it for another edition of Speed Week. Now, don't forget our special live edition of Speed Week at 1 o'clock Eastern Time Monday, when we'll recap the 78th running of the Indy 500. We leave you tonight with fans attempting to sing Back Home Again in Indiana. So long, everyone.
Back home again in Indiana. It seems that I can see
the gleaming candlelight still burning bright.
What's next? What's next? Remorse for me. The new moon hay.
That's all it's when I ran through the fields I used to roam.
When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash,
Then I long for my Indiana. Put me on ESPN, please. That's my dream.